Hi there. Today we're talking about upcycling and more specifically the Upcycle 2024 challenge that is going on for the month of October. What I decided today is to showcase 5 upcycles that I've done, especially for those shirts that are too tight to make them bigger to fit. Now, before I show you some ideas that I've used, I'd like to go through the rules. They're very simple. First, you have to make an upcycle garment or bag that can be out of something other than new fabric. So you can use sheets, you can use shirts, you can use anything thrifted. You get the idea. You just can't buy new fabric for this challenge. And second, you need to reveal the garment on October 31st over on Instagram if you want to participate. You could also use these ideas anytime that you want. But if you do decide to post on Instagram, make sure you tag Becky and Karen. They're both hosting this challenge. You can find Becky at Notes from the Sewing Room and Karen at Sew Little Time. Let's go into what I did. So the basic method that most people use to make a shirt larger so that it fits you is to add a side panel. And what I did with this one is this is a cotton, but I took a stretch fabric here to add my side panel. And you can see it's got a stretch, which is nice because it has a better fit that way. And all I did was open up the seam all the way from top to bottom and just put that side panel right in there. This actually came from a yoga shirt. So that worked really nicely. Another thing I did, I don't like collars, button-up collars, so I took the collar off of the shirt and I haven't ironed this, I'm so sorry, just actually sewed it on here so that you can see it still has a collar, but it lays nice and flat and you don't have a collar behind you. So I really like this idea, and let me show you a couple more versions I did with this same process. Okay, this is another shirt that didn't fit me. It was too tight across the chest, and this was one of my favorite shirts. So I was really bummed that I couldn't wear it anymore. So I did the same thing, except with a little extra flare. So I cut off the sleeve and took that portion, you know, the portion that has the cuff, that split in the cuff, I put that between this seam right here. So this whole part here, that's the bottom of the sleeve. I put that right in there. So this gave me a lot of extra room, but I also wanted to do something fun. So I had this other material and I just added it gathered around the top here so that it adds a bit of a flare. And I really like that. I think this material matches the shirt beautifully. I kind of like the contrast. So that's another thing that you could do to make it short sleeve, put the cuff there and add a little contrast down below with a gather. I also did the same method as I did the previous shirt with the neck, except this time it's really ironed so you can see what it looks like. This is the collar. I cut off the shirt collar and just cut it in half, put it right here and just sewed down one side and the other. And that looks really neat. It highlights a V-neck. There's no more button up to the neckline and the back. What I did with the back is I turned the back of the collar just into some bias tape and I just binded it right there. So this is another idea with extra flare. All right, let me show you the third version. Okay, here's number 3. Same thing with the collar, right? I cut off the collar and made it into a really nice neck right there. And this time I did the same thing. I cut off the sleeve, but then I decided to use the bottom of the sleeve a little bit differently. Now, if you can see here, there's a cutout right here. So that's how I improved the width of the shirt, and it was a little tight around the arm. So I just put in a V there. This part here, from here to here, that was okay, that still fit me. But then down here, I have big hips. So the waist didn't fit. It was a little too tight around the waist. So what I decided to use is a little cute peekaboo. So I unpicked the seam right here, left this open, and then I attached the cuff at the bottom. So this is the cuff of the shirt right here on the side. And I think that looks really cute too. I just sewed it on right there, and you can actually still unbutton and button this. So in the future, I guess you could even make this a little tighter or looser. You could change where the button is, but that's a really fun way to make a shirt bigger, and also to use all of the pieces of the shirt that you had previously cut off. This is one of my favorites. It's very light, and I'm really glad I saved it. Now let's go on to a couple of different ideas. She's very squeaky. So this, I actually combined a shirt and fabric. This is extra fabric that I had, and I thought that was a really fun match. They both have very similar prints, except in very different colors. So I like the way this matches. What I did here is this collar came with the shirt, so I didn't have to alter it at all. But I took off the sleeve, and I used the original sleeve as a pattern for this one, except I made it much more voluminous. So I took the sleeve, I actually traced a pattern, and then I did the split method to make that sleeve pattern much bigger. And that's how I got all of this volume on the sleeve. And then a fancy touch at the bottom, I just kept that same cuff from the sleeve and put it here at the end. So it ties everything together. So another thing I did came from the fact that I had extra fabric and I wanted to use it all, is I did my wedge and I made the fabric extra long. So this piece of fabric, this is actually a pocket, right? So how I made that pocket was the fabric was about, maybe 10 inches longer. So I had this long piece of fabric sewn right here. And all I did is I folded it up twice to make a really cute pocket in my shirt. So this works really well too. And it's a fun idea that just gives a little bit more flair to an otherwise very boring shirt, right? Okay, I just have one more to show you. Here's the last one, and this is actually a pretty easy make, but you'll need two things. You'll need the shirt, the cotton shirt, and also a stretchy t-shirt like the one I'm wearing, and I'll show you why in a minute. So here I cut off the neckline, but this time I didn't use the collar. I just wanted a clean neckline, so I just removed that the collar up here and then just sewed it, doubled it over and sewed it shut. Very easy to do. I cut off my sleeves, and you can see it now, right? And because the arms were too tight, I just made a little V in the sleeve right here and took some of the shirt fabric, the stretchy t-shirt fabric, and just wedged it in right there. And I also created binding right here, and I just sewed that around the edge, so it gives it again a little bit of a nice touch. You really want to try to coordinate everything together so that it looks like almost it was meant to be this way. Maybe that's a stretch, but that's how I look at it at least. All right, and then you just use the back of the t-shirt for your back. So you unpick your back of your shirt, and now since this was too tight across the top, it's not anymore because it has a really good stretch. And this is a nice way to finish up the shirt. And you can also do something with the front of the t-shirt and the back of the shirt. I didn't think of that before. I think I might try it. Anyway, I hope you like these ideas, and I plan to make something on my own if I have time. I'm gonna actually take this. I have a couple of red and black checked shirts. I can't find the original, but I have one that fits me, and then I found these two others. And I want to try to make a dress out of that because I think that would be really cozy for Christmas. Anyway, those are my plans. I hope I gave you some inspiration, and I would love to see what you make. Or if you want to subscribe to my channel, I do a combination of DIY upcycling, and I also do a lot of sewing. So I hope to see you back, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks a lot, and my name is Karen Francis. Bye.